Hi everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts, and today I'm bringing you another box tutorial. This time I will be creating two Slimline pop-up boxes. Here is the die that I'm going to be using. I'm also going to pull in my Slimline gift card holder add-on, as well as my lacy border add-on, and I'll also pull in my everyday borders for my second card. And then for the stamp sets, I will be using German Winter Village with the coordinating dies. I forgot to mention in my last two videos that I do have coordinating dies with my stamp sets. I will also use Candlelight Poinsettia with the coordinating dies, and I believe Cardinal Blessings with the coordinating dies. And I will later on pull in Christmas Market, which I wasn't originally planning, but I wanted to add in a couple trees for my second card. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the tutorial. So from the Slimline pop-up box, I die cut the base twice from heavyweight cardstock, which I just showed you there. I also cut two of the bridges, which is this long die that's included in the set. These bridges are what hold your elements inside your box. And then I die cut some pattern paper. So I have a couple red gingham panels that are going to adorn the bottom of my box. And then for the top flaps, I am going to be using this music note paper. And all this pattern paper I just got probably from Hobby Lobby or Michael's in a 12 by 12 stack. So here I'm just showing you all the dies from the die set that cut these panels to decorate your box. And I wanted my box to be elegant, so I went ahead and die cut my lace border. I cut the shadow die from some silver foil cardstock and then the main lace from white cardstock, and you can layer these together to create a two-toned effect. So now we are going to actually create the box itself. So like I said, I die cut the base twice from heavyweight cardstock. I folded the score lines just to get them ready to be assembled into the box shape. And now I'm just attaching my double-sided tape to the 1/2" tab at the end of the panel. I will do that for both panels here. And you want it to be strong tape because your box is essentially being held together with these two strips of tape. So I'm using some Uline industrial strength tape. It is super sticky. So I'm going to remove the backing on my double-sided tape. And then the way I assemble these is, here you can see I have both tabs on the right side. I'm going to take one of those panels and glue it on the opposite side without the tab while the box is still flat. And because I trained those score lines, once you fold it together, it's going to naturally go into that box shape, and you're very easily able to attach the other tab to the other side of the panel without that tab on that side. I hope that makes sense. I think the video kind of explained it better than I'm trying to explain it, but it's super easy. It's probably the easiest interactive die you can possibly have in your stash. It is literally just attaching it together with tape. The score lines, cut lines, measurements are all done for you with the die. So these little strips that I am now adding double-sided tape to are what I like to call bridges, and these are what hold your floating elements inside your box. So basically this bridge die is going to cut a long strip of cardstock and leave you with two 1/2" tabs on either side. You're going to want to add your double-sided tape to those tabs. By the way, I cut both of my bridges from heavyweight cardstock. You're going to want to make sure that it's nice and heavyweight, because otherwise it might bend or kind of warp, and you definitely want it to go straight across your box. So I recommend using the same cardstock you use to cut your base from. So I glued down my first bridge, and the way I did that is I attached the tabs to the very corners of the back of the box. And then for this bridge, I'm leaving about 1/2 inch between the one that I just added and then this one, so that for the most part the bridges are evenly spaced, and they're also evenly spaced from the back of the card and the front of the card. And I like to add 2 bridges, but you can add more or less if you want. I feel like because these boxes are a little bit more narrow, I kind of like just doing 2. So our card base is essentially assembled now. We can decorate the box. So I'm taking all those pattern paper panels and I'm going to attach them to the box. And again, I cut these panels from the panel dies from the die set. And I just chose 2 pattern papers that complement each other pretty nice. And for the top flaps, I want to decorate the flaps you're going to see when the box is popped up and the flaps that you'll see when the box is folded flat. So I cut double the amount of these flaps, and you'll see why. So I'm first going to decorate the outside of the box. So these are the panels that you're going to see when the box is popped up. And then here you can see when I fold it flat, there are white areas. So on those white areas, I'm just going to add some more of those panels just to complete the box. I don't always do this. For my A7s, I never do it, but it does look kind of nice and finished when you do add those extra pattern paper panels. So now I'm going to attach my lace pieces together. I love that there is a shadow die included with the lace, so you have the option of leaving the lace open, or you can close it nicely with a similar shade of cardstock so you can get a two-toned effect, and it's just really elegant and pretty. So I did design the border dies to be 8 3/4 inches long. That way you can use them on your regular slimline flat cards. So if you do want to use them inside the box, you're going to have to trim them down. So the box is approximately 7 inches long when it's folded up, so you can, measure that if you want to, but I kind of just eyeballed it with my scissors and it worked out pretty well. So I added one of those lace borders to the back bridge, and then I'll add the second one to the front bridge. And I think that's super elegant. And this is also great because if you have either the everyday borders or the lace borders added into any of the boxes that I released on Sunday, then you don't have to use those acrylic sticks. Obviously you can still float things above, but having those borders are nice because you don't necessarily need to add any floating elements. And you're going to see in today's card, I do not add any acrylic sticks. So I have a bunch of die cut and colored images from Candlelight Poinsettia and Cardinal Blessings. I just added Wink of Stella to all of the images. I colored them in with my Copic markers, and I left out the coloring just because I do want the focus of this video to be the tutorial on the Slimline box, but I think I will be showcasing my coloring of these images in a future video, probably when I do flat cards. So definitely stay tuned for that because I know people are going to want to know how I colored these in, but pretty simple coloring, just use my Copics here. So now I'm basically assembling the box. I'm taking all of my poinsettias. I have this candle here from Candlelight Poinsettia, and I actually glued it to the card base itself, so right butted up against that front part of the card base, and I added the glue to the front of the die cut, that way it would stick on. And you can definitely do that so you can get more than just 2 rows to work with. You can technically use the front of the card base and the back of the card base to add even more images. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out placement here. You're going to see I'm going to move things around a lot. I would recommend a glue called 3-in-1 or any sort of repositionable glue, just because you're going to move your die cuts around in different areas. If I were to use my art glitter glue, I would only have a couple seconds to move my elements, but here you can see I stick with something for a couple minutes before I actually move it. So having that 3-in-1 is really nice for that reason. I'm not sure if there's any other glue that's repositionable. I think maybe Tombow Mono glue is, but I've always used this 3-in-1 glue for my boxes and it works out fairly well. I will say these boxes do fit in a number 10 size business envelope, but you have to be careful. You cannot exceed that point on the very back of the card, otherwise it won't fit in the envelope. So because the cards are slimline, that does mean that they're shorter, but they are longer, so you have plenty of real estate to add your images. You just have to be careful not to exceed that boundary. Unless you're planning on hand delivering these cards, which you're going to see from my second design, I had the intention of hand delivering it, so I'm not going to adhere to that boundary. So it's up to you, but you can see with that, you can still create a really pretty box. So here is the finished design. I just love the red and white poinsettias with the brighter red cardinals. I think it's a really pretty design. And then the lace is kind of peeking through, so that adds some nice elegance to the card. I added a Merry Christmas sentiment from Christmas Market to the front flap, and I wanted to add a gift card holder to this card, so I'm using my gift card Slimline add-on, and I cut it from some red polka dot paper, and I want to add a little message to the gift card holder, so I'm using the word dies from the Slimline pop-up box die set. I'm using the words best wishes, and in that Slimline pop-up box die set, there are a bunch of small words that are sized to fit on the front flap of the box, but you can also use them on the gift card holder, and included in the gift card holder die set are even more words that are the same font, so you can match and use the words interchangeably so that the back of your box matches the front. So I layered up each word 3 times with heavyweight white cardstock, and then I will just glue these onto the front of my gift card holder, which I cut from some red polka dot pattern paper. And now I'm going to add my double-sided tape to the flaps of this die. So I know you can't see on camera, but there are score lines, so you are going to know where to add your double-sided tape. Again, I'm using this strong U-line tape just to make sure that this does not fall off the card. So I will remove the backing on my double-sided tape, and I wish I scored those lines before adding the tape because I'm kind of going to struggle with the sticky tape. It's kind of sticking to my glass mat, but I ended up getting it eventually, and I just attached it to the back of my card. And I think that looks really nice. And so obviously you can put a gift card holder, but it's also nice and long. So you can put a message that you can hide behind the gift card holder. And I just added another poinsettia to the top of that die cut. And my mom wrote with her lovely handwriting a little message for my grandma because she helped illustrate the poinsettia and the cardinal stamp set. So I thought it would be cool to send her a Christmas card with her images on it. So I wrote a little message about that and attached it to the back of the gift card holder. And then I also put in a Starbucks gift card. So on to card number 2. For this card, I want to decorate the entire box with the same pattern paper. So you can use 2 pattern papers like I did on the first card, but it's also really pretty to just have one solid piece of pattern paper all the way around your box. And I will say, to do one Slimline pop-up box, you will need 1 sheet of 12 by 12 pattern paper. So I die cut all the panels from the same blue snowflake pattern paper. Again, I will decorate the inside of the top flaps and the outside just so that everything is covered in pattern paper, but that is completely optional. So on this side, I'm only going to add the top flap panels. I didn't bother to add the bottom flaps because you're not going to see them. But I will add the bottom flaps to one side of each panel. And then you're going to want to add your double-sided tape. If you're gluing your panels on flat, you want to add your double-sided tape to the side with your bottom panels already attached. If you added your tape to the side without the bottom panels, then your box is going to be inside out. I'm also going to add double-sided tape to the tabs of my bridges. I'll remove the backing on that tape so that they're ready to go, and then I will assemble the card base. So I'm going to grab my 2 panels. I'll remove the backing on the tape and attach one tab to the other panel on the side that does not have the tab. And the side that does have the tab, I will fold in. I'll fold all the score lines in towards the glass mat, I guess. And then once the box is in its shape, it's very easy to attach the tab to the other end of the panel without the tab. Okay, and then I'll just kind of reinforce my score lines, fold down 3 of the top flaps, and my box is made. So I'll just go ahead and add my bridges in. The first bridge I add corner to corner with the back of my box. I leave about half an inch in between the first and second bridge so that everything is evenly spaced apart. And for this card, I wanted to use my everyday border die set, so I die cut some Snowy Hills from the Hillside die from some white cardstock, and this will give you a pierced edge, so it's kind of decorative. So I will glue one snow hill onto my first bridge. I'm going to flip the second snow hill so that the peak of the hill is facing the other direction, and add that to the second bridge. And there you go. You got two little snow hills here, and eventually I'm going to add a gray fence in the front, but at this point I wasn't sure if I was adding a fence, so I'm going to start assembling the box. All of these dies that I stamped, colored, and die cut are from the Winter Village stamp set and the Christmas Market stamp set. I again colored them in with my Copics, and I colored the houses in the traditional German colors, so brown and white. So if you went to Germany, these are what these houses would look like. So I wanted to add a fence to the front of my box, so I'm going to take my fence border die, and I'm going to butt the die right up against the corner edge of my paper, and then your die set will work. I will say that the fence die is slightly defective because I forgot to add a straight line across the bottom, but if you do cut the die right on the edge of a piece of paper, you will automatically get that cut edge. Otherwise, you can just use your trimmer and cut it straight across. I did discount this die set because of that reason, but I figured you guys would still like the fence included because it is really nice to have for scene building. But I'm only charging basically for the hillside and the grass that's included in the everyday border set. So I'm going to take that fence, I'll trim it down again because they are sized to be 8 3/4 inches long. So you will have to trim them for the boxes. I did this because I wanted you guys to be able to add them on your regular flat slim lines, because I figured a 7-inch long border would not be very useful for any other type of card. So then I'm just going to assemble my scene, and like I said, I'm going to be hand delivering this card, so I did not care too much about the height. And you can see that church I added is clearly well above that boundary on the back of the card, and that's completely fine if you plan on hand delivering. So I kind of want to talk about this stamp set while I kind of assemble all of my houses together. By the way, that little ice rink is from a Hero Arts stamp set. I felt like I needed my ice skaters to be on some kind of pond, so I stamped it on blue glitter cardstock and fussy cut it. But for all my houses and the church and the trees, which are from Christmas Market, I used their coordinating dies. So I wanted to illustrate a German style Christmas stamp this year because I am half German, and I wanted to try to create two stamp sets that would work together to create a beautiful German Christmas market scene. In this case, I'm only using the German village, but it is still reminiscent of a German town. And if you buy the Christmas market stamp set to go with it, you can add the cute little toy booths and the bakery booth that you would see in a typical German Christmas market. They're truly magical. I don't know any other word to describe them. You know, millions of people every year visit Germany just for the Christmas markets because there's nothing like it. I mean, there are Christmas markets here in America, but in my opinion, they don't even compare. But yeah, here's the completed scene. I added a couple light posts and some trees to kind of fill in the blank areas. And now I'm going to stamp out my sentiment, and I chose Let It Snow, Winter Wishes. And I'm going to stamp it in one row so that it goes across my front flap of the Slimline box. And I'll stamp it out with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Both of these sentiments come in the Winter Village stamp set. And I'm going to end up stamping this twice because I do want to cut it from a stitch banner die from my stash. And I had to have the sentiment more centered in order to get both of those tail ends. So here is the die cut sentiment. I love how that turned out. And as you can see, it fits really nicely onto that front flap. So I will just attach it with my art glitter glue, and then that is going to complete my second scene. So I think I'm going to give this to my mother-in-law. So I want to customize it to her. So in order to do that, I'm going to actually customize the gift card holder. So I die cut my gift card Slimline holder add-on from some gray snowflake pattern paper. I'll add the double-sided tape to the tabs, remove the backing, and attach it to the back of my card after I add my little word dies. And this time I chose a little gift for you, which comes with the Slimline gift card holder add-on, and then the word mom, which comes in the Slimline pop-up box die set. Like I said, in that die set you get a bunch of words, including some words that you can add to really customize to your recipient. So in this case, I want to give this card to my mother-in-law, so I added the word mom at the end. But I also included the words dad, sister, and friend, so you can say a little thank you for you, dad. You can do best wishes, friend. So there's just a lot of different combinations, and I love that the front of your box can match the back. So I wanted to add another little note on the back of this card. So I had my mom write a message for me, and I'm going to finish the edge off with my scallop border. And this comes from the Lacy Slimline border die set. So while I wrap up this card, I do want to mention that this video is a part of a giveaway week. So I'm going to be giving away prizes over on my Instagram and gift cards on my YouTube channel. So if you want to win a $25 gift card to the Scrappy Tales Crafts website, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below. And that's it. Then you're entered into the giveaway. I will be announcing winners, I think, on my Instagram. I might have a little YouTube post about it or a blog post telling you guys the winners, and I'll also message you directly if you win. But yeah, that is going to complete the video tutorial for the new Slimline pop-up box, and I hope I was able to give you guys some inspiration with my new stamp sets. And the next video that I'm showcasing is the Slimline shadow box. I'm very excited about that one. So if you haven't yet already, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you know when I am posting a new video. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye!